I'm Maisie Richardson from Conexiom, and welcome to the first in our series of breakfast briefings. This morning I caught up with Kieran from Norgren, which is part of the IMI PLC. Kieran talked to us about all things customer experience, as well as the company's Growth Hub initiatives. Stick with us till the end and send us an email, and we will send you a voucher for a free coffee and breakfast on us. Thank you so much for watching our breakfast briefing. So tell me a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm Kieran Crowley. I worked for Norgren for 14 years now, and I'm Global Digital Sales and Marketing Director. And my responsibilities are demand generation, self-service and transactional e-commerce, and sales effectiveness. So effectively everything about digital go-to-market is my remit.
And tell me a little bit about Norgren.
Yeah, Norgren is part of IMI PLC, who are a London Stock Exchange registered organisation with around 10,000 employees across 50 countries around the world. Norgren specialises in motion control and fluid technology, products and solutions, serving verticals as diverse as life sciences, commercial vehicles, factory automation and rail.
Okay, and any interesting history you'd like to share about Norgren?
Well, IMI is over 100 years old, started in Birmingham and is now that global organisation I mentioned before. And in terms of recent achievements that we're really proud of, the company rose to the challenges of the pandemic fantastically in the life sciences area. And within one of our organisations, a company called FAS in Switzerland, we supported the massive increase in demand for ventilator products. We manufacture a very, very precise valve with tolerances under 1 micron. During the early stages of the pandemic, we were getting demand from all around the world, contacted by governments as well as health agencies. And our response was to increase our production tenfold, which I know you can imagine how difficult that was at that time of really intense lockdown. But we did it, and we're really proud to say, we've contributed to the saving of serious amounts of lives. So we're very proud of that.
Wow. So you kind of started to mention it there. Who are your main customers? Who do you serve?
Yeah, well, so we're kind of the product inside the products you'll be familiar with. So our customers are original equipment manufacturers. So in the truck world, someone like Scania, and in life sciences, it's the biggest OEMs serving that market. Our differentiation in the marketplace is really around customer intimacy, really understanding the customer and understanding their products, their concerns, what they're trying to provide for their end customers. So for instance, in commercial vehicles, it's around emissions management in particular and efficient running of trucks. So understanding what they're trying to do and then working with the manufacturers to solve those problems.
Kieran, can you give me a little bit of background on the Growth Hub initiative?
Yeah, Growth Hub is an IMI-led initiative, and that's really around driving a growth mindset into the culture and really getting much closer to the market and driving market-led innovation, making sure that really understanding the market, understanding customer problems and solving the biggest problems with really keeping our customers awake at night.
Mm-hmm. And how are you personally involved with that or your team?
Yeah, so the Growth Hub process really starts by scanning the environment, trying to understand what's going on in a macro world, and then looking into opportunities, really trying to understand the customer problems and evaluate really what issues there are out in the marketplace. Then, are they big enough? If we solve them, are they going to be valuable enough to will customers care if we solve them? Then trying to work through the process of testing how we might solve those problems. And all the time sort of managing down a funnel so that we only proceed with the really big opportunities that are really going to make a difference for the market and our customers. And I tend to get involved at where we're looking from a digital standpoint of how do we service those customers, how do we engage customers, how do we bring them into the organisation. So I tend to be at the end of the funnel, mm-hmm. But in this particular project with Conexiom, that was born of an initiative all around the aftermarket for our industrial automation business, which then led to a pivot, a change of direction to mm-hmm. a broader customer experience challenge.
And how did you originally kind of identify that problem?
Yeah, so it started by looking at a particular element of the customer service, which is the aftermarket. So that means the replacement and maintenance of products some years after we've sold them. Yeah. And what we discovered was the customer's requirements were really less about product and more around service. And that was both in the research phase and then the buying phase. And out of that came a whole load of questioning, and which led us to really having a better understanding of their expectations, customer expectations.
Got it. And it was this kind of gap between customer expectations and what was actually being delivered that meant that it was a big enough business problem for Norgren to kind of go out there and look for certain solutions. Is that right?
Yeah. So what we found was our customers had quite different expectations based on the size of the organisation and the role within the organisation. Yes. So our research, we went for quite a simple persona. So we looked at a buyer, we looked at an engineer, and we looked at a distributor, and what were their distinct different requirements. And then we looked at the size of the company. Well, not deliberately, but it just became apparent from the discussion with customers that very large customers had quite different expectations to the smaller customers, which resulted in different solutions being needed to solve their issues.
And so I guess, are there any metrics that you can share that sort of indicated the extent of this problem?
Yeah, so we looked at automation of orders and the data around ordering as a key requirement for customers. And our largest customers expected a kind of one-to-one relationship, where they could change their schedules at a moment's notice digitally without any kind of physical human contact. Equally, they wanted to know digitally back from us if there was any issues or changes in what we could deliver to them. So a very close one-to-one relationship. The smaller end of the customers were very comfortable digitally transacting, so doing their research and buying online on our transactional website. So that was really strong. And this was before the pandemic, so it only got bigger after that. But what we found was in the middle range, there was customers very comfortable doing their research online, but their ordering, they really didn't want to use the web as a method of ordering. They perceived that to be double entry. So they were looking for well, it wasn't so much they were looking for a solution, but their attitude or their view was, they give us the order, it's our problem if we want to automate those.
Got it, yeah.
And that's really what opened the door for Conexiom. So when I got the contact from your company, it was already ringing in my ears that this was a customer issue, that we were going to struggle to migrate them, yeah, either to web or to EDI solutions at the larger scale. Yeah, in terms of metrics, we set ourselves an objective of being 80% automated, and that's pretty what you describe as a BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goal. And we moved from 20 to 40 in 12 months, and this year we'll finish that journey.
So we've talked briefly about the touchless goals of the project. Were there any other sort of business outcomes or return on investment that you were sort of looking to achieve?
Yes, we wanted to. We track NPS, Net Promoter Score, as a big driver of customer experience and an indicator that we're on the right track. And again, we've incrementally improved that over the years to what in NPS terms will be considered very good. But world-class, we have a few facilities and businesses that are at world-class rankings, but we're not consistent across the world. So NPS and tracking that is a really important element for us. So what we're aiming to achieve from automation is obviously to reduce complexity out of the organisation, but mainly free up time to spend with customers on what they really care about and solving their problems. So create more value, adding more value, and taking away what really is quite low value add work.
Mm-hmm. And you would say that that's one of the sort of primary ways that you quantify the value of this sort of project?
Yeah, I mean, there's efficiency gains to be had, but the NPS is another key indicator, yeah.
Perfect. So what was the outcome? What were the benefits that you've actually realised from the project?
Yes, the Growth Hub is led from the IMI executive, so it's a really heavily sponsored initiative, led by example, and it whilst it's got a kind of central branding, if you like, and it's actually driven within the divisions. And what it's really driving is that growth mindset and a change of culture where we're learning kind of startup techniques of test and learn, minimum viable product, fail fast, start small, scale quickly. The role of digital in scaling quickly rather than traditional selling, whereas we've typically been a sales or account management led organisation from a growth perspective. So we're learning lots of different techniques, and what we're doing is creating small, diverse teams focusing on a project, seeing that right through to the beginning, and it's their decision whether they kill an idea if they can't see that there's enough of an opportunity or a big enough problem, big enough customer problem. So we're getting this kind of innovative, entrepreneurial spirit through the organisation, which we didn't really have before. So I think we're getting a lot of momentum behind that, and that's really quite powerful.
And with this sort of with the growth hub being centralised, does that mean that you have a centralised set of goals for the growth hub, or does every kind of project have its own goals, and it's just if the customer's better off, that's great, and that's the success of the project?
Well, the goals are it needs to be significant revenue potential.
Yeah.
Don't really want to get into the numbers, but it's got to move the needle.
Yeah.
And by solving really well-defined customer problems, we have much more opportunity to generate value from those sales than if we're in a commoditized world where price becomes the defining matter. So we're looking for the really valuable problems for customers. And we have a pipeline. So we have a pipeline. We have opportunities that are at the scaling phase, right? We're actually making money right now with ideas that have gone through the stages, and we've got others that are just in very much in the early stages of really understanding: is there anything in it for us? Can we really help customers by applying our expertise?
And then finally, what advice would you give to other business leaders looking to implement a similar problem-solving solution?
Well, we've used a lot of external help. I think like any big change initiative in a company, you need the leadership of the organisation to get right behind it and visibly, demonstrably support it and get involved. And we've had that in spades in our company, which has been fabulous to see. We've also not been afraid to bring in external expertise, so people that will challenge our thinking, have got startup experience, think very differently to 100-year-old engineering companies, and really, get one or two things mobilised. Bring, get the best brains in your organisation working on these teams, working in sprints, cycles to maximise the learning, but also hopefully maximise the business benefits that comes down the pipeline.
And my last one is a biggie. So people love to hear about successes of projects like this. They also love to hear about any failures or lessons learned. So are there any that you can kind of share, any projects that didn't necessarily work as well as you anticipated?
One of the lessons is to kill initiatives quickly. We probably had ideas that we've hung on to a bit too long. And actually one of the Growth Hub mantras is don't fall in love with your idea. And as an engineering company with lots of very talented engineers, it is quite possible to fall in love with your ideas.
Okay, and then I lied, it wasn't actually my last one. What's next on the roadmap for Growth Hub?
Well, we've actually brought in a lot of talent with experience in charitable work, in startups, in software companies. So they're bringing in fresh ideas, which is great and much needed. But we're also getting more and more people through the process working on these teams, whether they go through to scaling or not. And with that, more and more people in the organisation are learning some of these tools and techniques, which gives us the chance to apply those to today and our kind of core business, if you like, And the strategy we have is to create value today by growing our customers, serving our customers well as generating value for tomorrow with these bigger ideas. So I think the kind of cross-pollination of the ideas from Growth Hub into the broader business will be really powerful.
So thank you so much for joining me today. It's been great chatting to you.
Absolute pleasure.